All right, let's try that again. Had a little issues with my encoding software. So the last one recorded it all the way through and then went to go check it and it wasn't there. So let's try this again. So here we are. This is the first episode of Hoosier Morning After, an episode that honestly doesn't matter at the end because, again, the game didn't matter. This was an exhibition game against Gannon. Not really an opponent that Indiana had to worry about in any way, but an opponent that we need to take seriously and an opportunity we need to take seriously as a team so we can try to get better and improve upon the year. It's a chance to see ourselves against someone that's not ourselves, practice against a team that doesn't know us. Again, they obviously don't have much film to go on about us because we don't even have any film on ourselves. But it was an 84-54 win over Gannon. Team kind of got off to a good start. We got a 10-point plus lead at one point. Armand Franklin was really kind of the standout from the beginning of the game. Then we kind of started to stand around and we weren't rebounding and there was a lot of turnovers happening. I think also Gannon kind of realized that we weren't shooting the three as much, so they started crowding underneath. All of that kind of happened. We battled it back a little bit. Gannon, I think, took the lead twice, at most at 2 points. Maybe it was only a 1 point lead for them. But we battled back to go into half, 37-29. And we got our kind of first glimpse in game time Mike Roberts. I'm a big proponent of Mike Roberts. Love Mike Roberts. Love what he's doing. Love having him for the team. He's someone that obviously knows what he's doing. He knows what players, what this program means to players, and he's a hard-nosed guy. He's not going to let guys get away with stuff. The great thing even too, we got some good insight last night from Coach Thompson. He was there at the game, and then he's historically not been a fan of shoot-arounds and how teams warm up. It's gotten a lot more casual. Guys just kind of lazily stretching at half court, just kind of chucking the ball. And he was excited to say while he wasn't able to get into details, and I will definitely talk to him. I want to find out what exactly he saw that he liked. But he talked about Mike Roberts out there running the guys through drills, doing stuff, staying active. So again, going back to the game, going into half, the sideline reporter talked to Mike Roberts, and he talked about us needing to put more pressure on the ball and just overall play faster. We definitely did that as a team. I saw going into right before we had a shot of the team huddled up, and Justin Smith was sitting inside talking to the guys. That's great to see. Justin Smith in there leading and talking. Trace Jackson Davis kind of steps away. Camera follows as he kind of steps away from the huddle, and he almost kind of rolls his eyes in a way. And nervous. I was nervous about that at first because I didn't know if that was kind of a reaction that he was having to what was being said in that huddle, or if. But that proved us wrong because he went in the second half. I think he had the first basket of the second half. He played a great game overall. It wasn't anything that really stands out largely to me. He was active on the boards. I think he had a few putbacks. I struggled when we had OG Anunoby as well. When you have a player that is athletic as he is and is able to take 2 or 3 steps and is at the basket, they make it look effortless to the point where it almost fools me to think that they aren't putting the effort in. That's something that Trace Jackson Davis does as well. I think he is a freak of nature with his length and his athleticism for that length and size that he has. So we're going to see that a lot more this year, and it'll only get better. But he came out of the second half, played a little bit better. And in the end, obviously, Indiana ended up winning 84-54. We won that second half 47-25. Yeah, so I mean, overall, a pretty good performance. Kind of looking in closer into specific people and how they did, and maybe some of their numbers. I think the most minutes anyone had on the team. Looking at them right now, Armand Franklin. Again, Armand Franklin was definitely the standout person. We saw the stat sheet for the secret scrimmage, and he was kind of really the lesson that we got from there, or the buzz was behind him because he played so many minutes and he had a pretty successful game. He fouled a lot during that game. And on this game, he was a little bit better. He only had 3 personal fouls. But again, in 34 minutes, he was 50% from the field, 5 for 10. He hit 1 3-pointer. I'd like to see that get a little bit better for him. We need him to have a good outside shot. He'll be counted on more, I believe, this year to play the 2 just behind Green. But it's good to know that we have him as a backup for Rob, possibly. Obviously, that was one of the biggest question marks we had going into this season was, who do we have at point guard? Freaking out thinking we only had Rob. Well, now we've kind of seen at least that Armand can shoulder some of those minutes and obviously be pretty successful. He had 4 assists to only 4 turnovers. So that was pretty good. The other side of the ball was also very good for him. Defense, he was very active. He was up in the face of all the guys he was defending. He did a lot of great digs. I really liked to see when he kept digging down. All the players were, honestly. Demise was another one that dug down on the ball when a player underneath him got the ball. Demise played 31 minutes. I'm actually kind of shocked about that. To me, it didn't feel like he played that many minutes. But he was out there for that long. He was 4 for 6 from the field and 2 for 4 from 3, something that is a little frustrating. We want to see more from that. He was kind of really touted. Him and Fitzner last year were really touted as the 3-point saviors, the ones that were going to come in that were knockdown shooters. We knew that Demise was a little unorthodox with his shot, but we were hopeful that he could turn that around, find his form. He sadly didn't last year. A lot of mental problems. He at least had a great mental awareness of himself. Last year, he said he knew where his shortcomings were. Going into the off season, we heard from Zach McRoberts and Juwan Morgan that we needed to look out for him. He was one that was going to come out and be very good to shock us and not. And I think I don't know if I was shocked per se of what he did, but I was hopeful for the minutes that he gave us. He's definitely one that I don't think will shoulder that many minutes very often for the team. But if we need to call on him for a break at the 3, possibly even playing the 2, it's good to know that at least defensively we will not have a lack. Offensively, we may a little bit. Going down, talking about more people, Justin Smith. Justin Smith's another one that I am shocked by his stats because, again, I don't know what it was. If I just deep down have a little sour note about him or frustration with him because I know how good of a player he can be. He's one of those players that's sitting on that lottery ticket of just pure raw athleticism and everything. And I want to shake him. Like he shakes the little kid in Billy Madison, Adam Sandler does. I want to shake Justin Smith because I know he can be an amazing player. And last night, looking at the numbers, he had 18 points. He was 5 for 5 from the field. Not many of those were too far from the basket. I'd like to see him step out and make a little bit more. He did not attempt a 3-pointer. Again, I'd like him to make some threes, expand that part of his game, because with his athleticism, if he is a threat from 3 and players have to come out and defend that, he's going to be able to dribble around them. That's also another thing. His handles seemed a lot better. There was a few times where he drove around some guys, and before it looked clunky last year. There were times where the ball seemed to almost bounce away from him, or his hand was playing catch up with the ball, trying to get under it. And I didn't really think that was the case. He was under control last night. He was our best free throw shooter. He was 8 for 9. So he got to the line the most of any of our players. So again, that speaks to his athleticism and his drive to get to the basket. Joey Brunk played 20 minutes, was 3 for 3 from the field. He missed all of his free throws. He needs to get better at that. I think he's got the awareness that he knows, and he would strive to get better at things. He had no offensive rebounds, had 5 defensive rebounds. I'd like to see that number come up a little bit more. Our rebounding leader was Trace Jackson Davis. I think that's obvious that was going to happen. Armand Franklin was not far behind. He was very active and aware on the glass. Armand Franklin was being the guard or being the player that's not as close to the basket. You have to have that awareness of where the ball's going to bounce to or where it's going to be, and just have active hands and ready to react. And he was very tenacious in that aspect to be able to go after that ball and find that ball. Race Thompson, 20 minutes, 3 for 5. Tried a 3. He missed it. I mean, that's in his arsenal, so I'm not mad at him for doing that. He only had 1 rebound, which is a little disappointing. Again, his size, I would hope he would have more. We'd see more from him. Did he have any blocks? Race was credited for 2 blocks and 3 steals. So again, on the defensive side, that's where we're going to get the most minutes and the most useful minutes out of someone like Race. And once we get our 2 starting guards back, or at least our 2 guards, I should say, who knows if Al's going to start. I think that'll change for him, because we'll see him going in limited minutes, and probably mostly at the 4 or the 5. I don't know if he stepped out and played the 3. It was kind of a forward heavy game last night. So we saw mostly forward play. So Race can be an asset to us down the road. He just needs to find some offense to complement the defense that he's giving us. Jerome Hunter played 17 minutes, didn't make a basket from the field, took 5, missed 4 3-pointers, was 2 for 4 from 3-point. He still looks rusty. It's tough to watch, because I think he is willing and wanting to play again and play at the level that his mind knows that he can play at. He's a player that in high school, he was head over heels above all the other players that he played around. It was effortless. The game came to him. The ball was always there for him. His release felt good, and it always, probably most likely always went in for him. That's different now that he's been sitting out for a year. He's got to find his footing again. He's got to find his shot again. His touch has to come back. It hasn't quite yet, and you can see that. The positive note to take from that is that I don't think I saw him be frustrated about that. It hasn't gotten to him mentally, and that's one thing we need to watch out for with him, is that with his game coming back, that he doesn't get in a mental slump, kind of like we kind of would see last year with Justin Smith, where I think Justin knew what he could do, but would get too in his head. We need to make sure Jerome does not get in his head too much about what he is doing. He needs to know that the game will come. Duran played 14 minutes for us, was 2 for 6. Was the free throws. So he's back to his good old freshman year free throw shooting, had 2 rebounds. Not too many of our bigs had a lot of rebounds other than Trace. So with Joey and Duran only bringing in 6 between them, that number definitely needs to come up. I think the bigs overall struggle a little bit in this game, and I think that was just a byproduct of the lineups that we had to play in this game. There were too many guys that can't shoot the 3. We don't have that outside shot. So guys were able to kind of sit at home and sag off the guys at the 3-point line, knowing that we weren't going to really shoot it very often. Now, I know that our movement looked a lot better for that, and that's an overall probably game plan that Archie has. So I think once we have that shot and ability, that it will come a lot more. we will see I at least see that movement where guys are getting into position where they can shoot that three. Now, if that is Devontae Green and you've got Davis catching the ball as he's very good on the block, he's very good at assessing whether he needs to go up, or he's able to really look and pan quickly and find the guys that are open for those 3-point shots or those drives. And a lot of the two negatives that obviously we take from this game are both the turnovers and the 3-point shooting, as I'm talking about now. And again, I think those change once our two captains are back in, and once Rob is back to Rob. He wasn't fully Rob yet today because he didn't play or practice much with the team all of October. You could see that, I think, a little bit. There was some timidness to him. So I think once those guys are back, we're going to see the offensive side of the ball change considerably. We'll see a lot more kickouts, a lot more of those kickouts drives, kickout shots. A lot more of that motion that we see in the offense will benefit better. Last night, it looked closer to what we had to deal with last year when we couldn't shoot the three and everyone again crowded through. Even the moments where we had Zach McRoberts and Justin Smith, where guys would sag off of them and be able to double team. There's a lot more double teaming that was able to happen at the block last night that I think going forward we will not see as much. Again, this is not the high caliber opponents that we will see throughout the year. Once Big Ten play comes along, we need to turn that around because it's going to be scary otherwise. Once there's some film out on us, they realize again, like they did last year, that we can't shoot, then yeah, it's just going to hopefully be a mess, not be a mess like we saw last year. Yeah, those are my main takeaways that I would say from the game last night. Team chemistry looks great. I think I'm very happy that if we ever get into those mental slumps that we had last year, that we have players like Joey Brunk and other guys Al Durham that have bought in and are fighters. And I don't think they're going to let that happen like it did last year. And we will see a team more together. And I think when the chips are down and we're struggling, we will see guys calling each other out a lot more. It's going to be more vocal of a team. So I'm excited for that. That's the way the team is headed. The culture with the guys coming in next year, the guys there now, they seem to be more proud to have Indiana across their chest. Not to say that the guys last year weren't, but this year they are more so. There's a lot more excitement, I think, within the team and happiness. And I think that overall they get along a lot better. And it's going to be, like we saw last night, it's going to be a scoring by committee. And it definitely was. And that's fine. It makes it, it'll make it even better, maybe even harder for the opponents, because they won't know who to focus on. They focus on one guy. We've got other guys that can step up. And last night, I think, again, the main takeaway we can pull from last night is Armand Franklin. We have a player like that can step up when needed. Despite the freshman woes that may come for him, I think he will fight through those. The sad part to that is that I think we won't be able to see him for 4 years. If he is able to build on this, and if, knock on wood, if I have wood right here, if he does not have any injuries that plague him, we will probably only have him for 3 years, which is great. Great to know that we got a player that can build like that. Frustrating that we'll lose him, but great to know that we have a guy that will be that guy moving forward. It's the kind of excitement that we had last year for Rob Fennessy of a freshman. Look at this freshman stepping up. Look at him playing hard. Can't wait for him to grow old in the program. Well, I think Armand will grow old to a degree in the program, but because of his size and his abilities, he will be able to move on and play further, which I'm excited for, because if anyone listened to any of the interviews with him and his mother, great player, great mentality, just a Hoosier all around. I think that's about it for this one. I will be back a week from today, the morning after IU plays Western Illinois. Can't really say much about Western Illinois. Again, it's going to be another game where we're going to be able to mess around with some lineups. This one counts, so you might see Archie be a little more serious with his playing, wanting to kind of have that cushion of a good lead before he starts kind of messing with the lineups like he did last night. It's on BTN Plus again, so keep that subscription if you have it. This next game, Western Illinois, and then the following game are the ones that are on BTN Plus. I believe there are a few within the season that are questionable that they may be on BTN Plus or not. Just kind of keep an eye on those. It's at 7 p.m. I kind of hope we get that color guy that we had last night. I think his name was Jack or something like that. He was really good. I liked him. It was alarming at first to hear his voice. He had a very different sound to his voice. But once I got past that, he has very good quips, and he was great to listen to. And overall, again, I'd like to applaud the students that were involved in the BTN Plus. Being someone that works in production, I work in video production, and I'm gonna be very critical about those. I've messaged Galen before. They get a little too jumpy with their cuts. They want to be fancy with their camera angles and everything. But last night they did a good job. They stuck with the wide shots. They did good analyst. The girl on the sideline did a good job. The two announcers did a fantastic job. So I hope to see them a little bit more. So guys, tune in next week. Thanks, subscribe, all those things. Follow me on Twitter, General Chadwick. I will send out a tweet after the game. You can ask questions, pose something that you want me to kind of speak on the next morning. But overall, have a wonderful day. Go out there and be a good Hoosier. Cheers.